Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, one and all. We're back in the pub. Chris Hamill returns to your screens post South Africa. A nice tan. Patrick Van Straten is also here. We are here though to answer your questions. The first one was sent in by Onion Boy 20. He says, who didn't deserve to get in to the Team of the Year and why? Now the Team of the Year, we shoot this on a Thursday, has literally just been confirmed. It is Ederson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk, Laporte, Robertson, Pogba, Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva, Sadio Mane, Sergio Aguero and Raheem Sterling. Let's go position by position. Ederson, Hamill, yes or no?
I think the second best keeper in the league. I'd have put Alisson in there. I think he has 2 more clean sheets. He's conceded 2 fewer goals. Arguably has not a more porous defence in front of him, but Liverpool concede more shots than Manchester City, just about on average. Although Ederson probably more pivotal to the way that Manchester City play as opposed to Alisson at Liverpool.
And Alisson
he's averaging around 30 passes a game. He actually has more assists than Kyle Walker this season, Ederson, which is absolutely hilarious.
That is ridiculous.
For me, I'd go Alisson, still saving around 80% of the shots that Liverpool concede in the box. I think he's a better, or let's say more traditional goalkeeper, but only just this season. So I'm happy with either or, but I'd go for Alisson.
Yeah, I think you said at the beginning like who doesn't deserve their place, and it's not really a question of Ederson like not deserving this place.
Yeah.
But I think overall maybe Alisson does deserve it a tiny bit more, because I actually don't think Liverpool have the best defence in the league. I think City do, and yet Liverpool have conceded fewer goals, and there's kind of one guy you can put that down to.
Yeah, I would probably have gone for Alisson. I guess maybe one of their thoughts about not including him was a couple, 2 or 3 high-profile mistakes this season that we haven't seen from Ederson. So maybe that might be
arrive in the Champions League though, right?
Huh?
Oh, okay.
No, there's the one against Man United, and I guess the one where he tried to Cruyff turn. I can't remember who it was, but tried to Cruyff turn someone. Either way, I think probably Alisson should have been in there for me. All in agreement on that one. Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back.
Go on, mate. You kick us off.
I love Trent. I mean, again, Trent's had a really good season. Like he's got a ton of assists.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't think he is the best creative fullback in the league. I think there are fullbacks who are worse overall, but who create more. And defensively, he's not the best right back in the league. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka quite clearly is. I mean, I'm not going to go on and on about him, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka to me is the best defensive prospect in Europe. I think that he deserves that spot, and he's done it on a much worse team. Yeah. Palace have actually had a really good defence all season, despite being a bit all over the place personnel-wise. And I just think when teams play against Palace now, they pretty much give up trying to attack down the left flank. I was watching him against Arsenal the other day, and it was just fascinating to watch people take him on and see how many times they got past him. And the only time I remember it really happening was a bit of a lucky bounce for Kolasinac.
I think he produced 11 tackles and interceptions against Arsenal.
He was unbelievable. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't actually think it was like a brilliant performance from Palace overall, but the fact that like the left flank was just completely out of the equation was entirely down to Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I would have.
And he's 21.
I would have probably just gone Aaron Wan-Bissaka because he's playing in a much more mediocre side than Trent Alexander-Arnold, and also Trent hasn't had a full season.
No, the start of this episode's been very amicable, hasn't it? We're all in agreement. I'd go Wan-Bissaka as well. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold 24 league starts, which for me, I think you're 4 or 5 starts away from contention there. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's made 32 for Crystal Palace. Like you said, Trent Alexander-Arnold's numbers supercharged by the fact he is playing with such a good front line, and that he can kind of give up some defensive duties owing to Van Dijk, owing to kind of Robertson's powers of recovery as well. Still putting in around 3 tackles and interceptions, which is pretty solid, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka 6.2. He's joint number 1 for defensive actions in the league with Idrissa Gueye, who's a defensive midfielder, who's an absolute powerhouse. And Crystal Palace have kind of been non-existent going forward, but yet Wan-Bissaka still completes a couple of dribbles. Yeah. He still puts up over a key pass.
And he's crossing towards Benteke.
He's back though, Benteke, isn't he? Did he score while I was away?
Benteke will win the header.
Against Arsenal.
You say that like He's crossing
he wins
towards
it, but it
Benteke.
goes into Rosette.
Yeah, but that's a completed cross. That's a chance created for Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, but it's no
Benteke's
assist.
going to
There's
win
no
that
assist.
header, but it's not going in.
It's part of the reason
win
he's
it.
got barely any assists. Like
No, I
Trent,
understand.
I think a lot of people will say, well, Trent's attacking output, I think he's got 8 assists.
The only people who get assists
this
at
season.
Palace
He's
is whoever
overperformed
wins
that.
the penalty.
I think he's
for,
got-
for Milivojevic
I think he's got the second
Yeah,
most assists in the Liverpool side in the Premier League this season, potentially,
with 8.
with 8, which is
What,
pretty
behind
impressive.
Robertson?
Behind Robertson, who's got 9. So you
Yeah.
can kind of see
So
why he's in there.
they've both got more assists than you'd expect,
Yeah.
than expected goal says, and I think that's partially what happens when you're playing with elite forwards. Like you create chances, or even half chances, and they finish them.
And
Yeah.
Trent Alexander-Arnold's 1.6 key passes per game is a little bit inflated by the fact he takes corners, he takes free kicks, so he's probably not creating as much from open play as someone like Luca Digne, who does an unbelievable amount of attacking work down that left-hand side for Everton. I think he has the same sort of expected goals and assists as the top 10 midfielders in the league at current. So he's more influential for his side, someone like Luca Digne, than I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is. But in terms of potential, yeah, he's right up there. And you can't totally begrudge him a place, but I think Wan-Bissaka will feel a little bit...
So we would all go Wan-Bissaka in there.
Shall we jump straight over to left back then, seeing as
Let's
Sam was
jump
brought
straight
up
over to
Digne?
left back. You brought up Digne. Would you have had him over Robertson? I wouldn't. I think Robertson has been the outstanding left back.
Yeah, I mean, how do you discount Robertson at this stage?
Yeah, should we just agree Robertson is the left back, isn't it?
Yeah, if it wasn't Robertson, then I'd say Digne. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard to think of a guy who does everything the way that Robertson has this season.
Yeah, and also you look at the rest of the top 6, they're struggling for left back quality. City have really struggled at left back this season. Obviously, Benny Mendy's injury record troubling to say the least. Marcus Alonso, an absolute shambles. Luke Shaw, hit and miss at times, although probably one of the better candidates. And then Danny Rose and Ben Davis sort of interchanging, so you can't give it to either one of them.
Yeah, his
I think the
rise has
drop-off-
coincided with
has been a drop-off.
a dearth of top left backs.
Yeah, I
so it's
totally
become a
agree.
much more valuable commodity. But I also think, like,
Johnny Otto's not a terrible
Johnny Otto,
shout.
Yeah, right back.
But I still don't think.
No.
But I still
Plays
don't
left
think
back,
that he's. I still don't like Digne has like decent defensive numbers. They're not incredible, but his attacking numbers are elite. Kalazan actually attacking numbers are elite, but he hasn't really played in the back 4. So I mean, it's hard to find anybody to rival him whatsoever.
Yeah.
Bernardo's got great defensive numbers. Who knows? Maybe next season.
And if we're moving away from the numbers, like Robertson's delivery is probably the best at current from that left.
And also, he is like a press
Apart from
leader in a
Digne.
Jurgen Klopp system. Like he is like a press triggerer, isn't he?
Sure.
For that forward line, which is underrated in a Klopp team.
Yeah, when you look at where he wins the ball back,
Yeah.
he's in very advantageous positions.
The centre backs, I think there's only 2 they could have gone for, Laporte and Van Dijk. Can't
Big
throw
Verge.
a disagreement in there, can we?
I mean,
All happy with those 2?
yeah, I was pretty surprised to see he's the first Dutch defender since Jaap Stam to be included in the Premier League Team of the Year.
I mean, there has been a dearth of decent Dutch defenders.
Yeah, I mean,
Big
no,
Ron Vlaar.
I can't think of a single strong
He's
Dutch
probably
defender.
second, isn't it?
Like Daley Blint, not particularly great.
Van
in the Premier League.
Bronckhorst.
I mean, if you've not been dribbled past in a year, and
I think he has now. I think he has now.
yeah, I think he went a year, didn't
Finally.
he? According to Opta, he went a year without being dribbled past, and his distribution as well for a defender. I think he completes 5.5 long balls, which is the same as like Pico Alderweireld last season, wasn't it? So he has a lot of strings to his bow, doesn't he? Yeah, Van Dijk, awesome, and Laporte maybe a little drop off recently. City have been a little bit more.
Not had such a settled partner though. I think it's always hard.
And he's even played left back at points.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they just get Pep's system is just
Yeah.
mental.
I think another name that was potentially worth a shout is Jan Vertonghen. I think Jan Vertonghen has had one of his better seasons at Tottenham Hotspur.
Again, someone else who's played left
the
back
Wolves
as well when
guys.
needed to.
Yeah.
And the Wolves guys, Cody and Bolly, have both had really good seasons, I think.
Yeah.
Wolves' defence has been one of the better defences in the league, and they've done it despite having players playing for them you've never heard of.
Did we
Like,
give
that's
Doherty a mention as well at right back?
But again, in a kind of back
and out of the
three,
side.
and
You know, wing back, isn't he?
he kind of
has
deserves a
been
shout, but
brilliant,
at the same time, you're like, is he anywhere near Trent Alexander-Arnold or Wan-Bissaka? Probably not.
Probably.
I mean,
Especially as the profile
he's
of their
definitely
age.
there's Wolves players much more deserving of being in this side than I'd say Cody and Doherty and Bolly, and we'll probably move on to them right now, won't we?
Yeah, I mean, let's go to the midfielders. So, are we happy that obviously the PFA have chosen to play a 4-3-3?
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is an interesting decision. Are we choosing to stick with the 4-3-3 and make it work, or are we going to switch formations which I think we should.
I think you have to go 4-2-3-1.
Say, oh right,
4-2-3-1, I agree.
I think you have to, for the sake of this argument, stick with a 4-3-3 because we're essentially agreeing or disagreeing with this team, aren't we? I agree. It's much easier to play a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, it's much easier.
I just crammed Eden Hazard into a midfield three in mine, and obviously that doesn't.
Well, all you've got to do is drop Pogba, include Hazard, and move to a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Because if you look at it as being in the team of the year as an accolade, as opposed to we have to slot a person out and slot them into the same formation.
It's just
tidier. Then I think it makes more sense.
Okay, fair enough. So you were staunchly against Pogba, probably more
I wasn't staunchly
probably
against,
more so than me. I mean, well, you and Dougie were having a pretty heated battle
angrier about him being in the team of the year than United fans
across the office.
Because they watch him all day. And
I guess it's because we watch 90 minutes.
Okay, so 22 goal involvements in 31 starts. I think as of February, I don't think anyone had contributed to more goals across Europe's top 5 leagues. Only 4 central midfielders have contributed to more goals than him. So these look good, don't they, from a top line perspective, but you've done a little bit of digging and maybe what the numbers have been massaged slightly?
I think they've been massaged. The
trouble is, open play goals thing is pretty.
The trouble is for Paul,
damning.
He's got absolute rubbish around him, which it's harder to create and to be the driving force of a midfield when you are the only midfielder. At times. United have a 40-yard chasm in midfield. Pogba's picking the ball up on the edge of his defensive line and people are asking him to score at the other end. That's a big problem for him. And I just don't think, he had a great 2 months or 3 months at the start of the Solskjaer tenure. When Solskjaer came in late December, and you're right, first 2 months were incredible. I think of his 90, how many goal involvements has he got? 20 goal involvements,
22,
something like that? 22 goal involvements. I think 15 came in that 3-month period. So he had an incredible 3 months, and they were flying and hitting the back of the net. Admittedly, 7 of his goals were from open play, were from penalties. 2 further were from penalty rebounds that he'd missed penalties off. So 9 penalties effectively of the 13 goals he scored. But still a driving force, still a massive catalyst for our attacks. One of the few players who can actually create a chance in our midfield and team as a whole. Definitely United's best player. But just by being Man United's best player doesn't mean you are worthy of the team of the year. Because United have been crap.
I thought herein lies the actual kind of
brilliant player,
issue with
not
team of the year.
In terms of
is it how influential you are? Is it how influential you are to your team in that position while having an individually good season, or is it a team that is more than the sum of their parts when they're created in its entirety?
It's difficult because I love Paul and he's definitely United's best player. Been United's best player this season, but United have been rubbish. So it's contextually, he's been good for United. But comparatively to some other players in the league, he's just not there.
So he's just become your Ozil, man.
He really has.
Your Ozil.
He's the whipping boy.
Yeah, he's the guy who whenever anything goes wrong, they're like, you're the guy who was meant to make us good. And so if United aren't good, they're like, well, who are the good players here? It's Pogba. Whereas they're like, Ashley Young can't be better than he is because he's old and now. And that's not his fault. He's 35.
Although,
what's he going to do?
There were some pundits last night, I'm not going to name names, but somebody said, players like Paul Pogba, senior players, these are the pundits' words,
he's a senior player now.
Need to look at Jesse Lingard and put their arm around Jesse Lingard as a younger player and go, you need to be doing more. Pogba is younger than Lingard. Pogba's younger than Lingard. And also, what are we doing here?
And also, Lingard's been at the club for longer. So when you start to band around understanding the values of Manchester United, then it's actually Jesse Lingard that should be proliferating that around the side because he gets it because he's been through the academy.
When Pogba's slamming balls through the midfield, a great midfield splitting ball, and it's hitting the knee of Lukaku and flying 20 yards out of play for a throw-in. There's not much more Paul can do.
Well, this is the thing, right? You do sometimes see a midfielder on a smaller club, and you think, you know what? He's someone we're interested in. We'll buy him. But I think it's quite. Whereas with attackers, you can see an attacker be amazing for a bad side. You very rarely see a midfielder be truly great for a side that doesn't have good structure and good players around him. It's a position where it's really, really hard to be world class, kind of on your own.
Yeah.
I genuinely can't think of a midfielder in the last few years where I thought they were genuinely world class, despite not having good players around.
Because you look at the flip side, and when someone like Bernardo Silva, who's also in the team, comes into Manchester City, this highly structured, very clearly defined system, it allows him to prosper, doesn't it? Because he knows what he's doing in multiple positions, whereas Pogba's in one position but has to do multiple things.
And we can all agree, if Pogba was sat in a Manchester City midfield, he'd probably be one of the best midfielders in the world.
Or last summer, for instance, when he had N'Golo Kante next to him, and he was incredible at the World Cup and won the World Cup.
So, so I think, are we all in agreement that Pogba shouldn't be in this team of the year?
Yes, but I'm not as fervently against it as others.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'd bin him and go 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I think it's passable. I think it's passable.
It's not like some great travesty that like devalues the team of the year. It's like fair dues.
I think there's a few players though that will be looking at that selection and going like Gini Wijnaldum, not statistically in terms of numbers as good as Paul, but I would potentially look at him as being a more consistent performer this season.
Well, I mean, consistently like just fine. Yeah.
If we go to 4-2-3-1 though. We're playing Fernandinho and Bernardo Silva, because you've outvoted me, so we'll go 4-2-3-1 for sure. Fernandinho and Bernardo Silva at the base of midfield?
I mean, Fernandinho this season definitely has to be.
This is pure Pep. But
you know, 4-1-4. Fernandinho has to be there, doesn't it?
You know, if you're playing a 2, we've been off Pogba. I think someone like Moutinho would probably be annoyed that he's missed out. Moutinho's been massively influential for Wolves this season. 8 assists, 50 passes a game. Like, he's an absolute metronome for that side, and I think he's been far superior to Ruben Neves, who people are banding about as unlucky to miss out.
Yeah, both about 4.5 tackles, interceptions a game, and like 2.5 chances created from deep midfield. I mean, admittedly, set pieces go into that, and also I do think Wolves have a sort of midfield structure which enables those players to look better. You know, it's not like Pogba, where Pogba's got to run the midfield on his own. Yeah. But on the other hand, like, Moutinho, it's hard to see how Moutinho's season could have been better.
I mean, Diogo Jota and Raul Jimenez, like, definitely they go above and beyond to help the midfielders out, don't they? It's unreal, like the transition game of Jota and the hold-up play of Jimenez, absolutely unreal. But and the wing backs.
Okay, so João Moutinho may be a little bit unlucky to miss out, but we're moving to a 4-2-3-1. Fernandinho, we're all in agreement, has to be in there. Incredible season, by far the best defensive mid in the league.
Yes, when he plays.
If he missed out on a few more games, then it would be a little bit more debatable. But he's been absolutely immense.
And Bernardo Silva, what we're saying about Bernardo Silva, because people will be saying at home, you didn't like him last season.
To be fair, what was he last season? Last season, I'd say he was a mediocre to slightly above average winger. And what is he this season? He's pretty much playing as a central midfielder, and he's been sensational. So, like, in a way, I kind of stand by what I said about when he was a winger. When they signed him, he was a dribbly winger at Monaco, and I didn't particularly like him. He can still do that role to some extent, but it's not really what he is anymore. And what he is now, I think, the reason he's got in this team has been primarily, I'd say, because of his incredible defensive work rate and the way he stitches play together. That is not what his role was at Monaco. So I think I guess if I don't think I ever said he was a bad player, but I probably said I wouldn't have him. So I guess I was wrong with that. But in a way, I feel like I was right in the as a winger, I still wouldn't really want him. What he is now is incredible.
I think 20 appearances from the centre midfield, still 14 on that wide. In that wide right position, but like the match intelligence on the guy,
because sometimes he's been a right wing back. He's actually operating a right wing back.
But I mean, against United, imagine taking Fernandinho off and Bernardo Silva, like Pep having the confidence in Bernardo Silva at this point now, just to play that Fernandinho role. I don't think there's anyone else in the side that could step in the shoes of Fernandinho and it still work. Like I think he's still completing a couple of defensive actions whilst also completing 2 key passes. So like Dele Alli, like Fernandinho, it doesn't give up on the attacking or defensive end. It can just seemingly do everything. I love the glorious little imp. He's fantastic.
And I was listening to Pep the other day talking about how important he is to their transition, and you saw that so clearly against Man United.
It's just like one
when the ball's
touch,
into
bang,
him.
bang,
It's not even like he does pop balls off, but there are times when he sucks 3 players into him with one clever dribble, and then just sets it off a simple pass, and then there's a massive counter attack on.
The Spurs game the other day, he was unbelievable. Like, I mean, the pass he pays to Aguero that leads to the goal is out of this world. And all game long, Spurs just couldn't escape him. Like, imagine thinking that. Bernardo Silva is the guy you can't escape. Like you expect it from like Kante, or you expect it from like a big range. Like there was a time when Nemanja Matic was inescapable in central midfield, but it's Bernardo Silva. It's this tiny little Portuguese guy who should be on the wing. It's amazing. I don't know.
Unbelievable. So those are our two midfielders, Fernandinho and Bernardo Silva. Let's move to the front line because there is a lot of controversy going forward. No Eden Hazard, despite being a candidate for the Player of the Year in the top 6, hasn't made the team of the season. Sadio Mane, yes or no?
No.
No, I'm 100% a yes for Sadio Mane.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I don't think he should be close to this team because he's not the best forward at Liverpool. He has not been the best forward at Liverpool this season. He has not been. He's got fewer goals, fewer assists than Salah. Salah is more important to that side. The two players in this that I think are absolutely indisputable are Aguero and Sterling, who are clearly the two best forwards in the league this season. They've both been absolutely outrageous. But after that, I think that you have to put Hazard in, who's contributed to more goals than anybody else in a pretty ramshackle side at times. Yeah. And then Mohamed Salah, who is he's just better. He's been better at everything than Mane this season. And I love Mane, but Salah's clearly better. I don't understand. After then you get like Aubameyang, who's been involved in more goals and more assists despite playing way fewer minutes than Mane. Like, I mean, there are lots of people you can make cases for here. You can make a case for Heung-min Son. But
see, with Son,
it's very strange.
If he'd prospered as a centre forward, if he'd prospered as a winger, not as a centre forward, I think he'd definitely be in this side for me. Although he's only made 21.
Yeah, I think if he'd have played more games, he'd been there.
But
he gets quite a lot of stuff.
I mean, there's no way that he's going to trump Aguero for me as a number 9.
So you would have Aguero?
I would definitely have Aguero, the only player in this team to retain his place, I think, actually.
I would not have had Aguero.
You would not have had Sergio Aguero?
I wouldn't have had Sergio Aguero.
How? Why?
I would have
pissing me off.
My front four would have been, obviously 4-2-3-1, so my front four. I wouldn't, I'm obviously cramming players in here, but I would have had Eden Hazard, Sterling,
as a 10, Sterling as a 10.
Yeah, Sadio Mane, and
on the right.
Who am I missing?
Harry Kane.
No.
Aubameyang.
Who did I have?
Mo Salah. You had Mo Salah.
And Mo Salah, and Mo Salah. I think I'd have had Mo Salah over Sergio.
There's no way I have Mo Salah over Sergio Aguero.
Yeah, I just play him on the right.
He's going to finish this season with another 20 league goals.
I'll buckle to the Aguero though. I can understand the Aguero train, but I can also I can't not have Sadio Mane in the team.
But why? But
I think Sadio Mane.
To me, it's a clear question between him and Hazard.
Post Christmas, when Mo Salah was really struggling, when he went on that 12-game run without getting a goal, or 11-game run without getting a goal, I think Sadio Mane, because Bobby Firmino was dropping off at that stage as well. I think Sadio Mane almost single-handedly dragged that front three through that period.
But Salah was still creating even when he wasn't scoring. And actually, if you look at if you look at Mane's season, there are stretches where he didn't score as well. But nobody makes a big deal of it because Mane didn't have a great scoring season last year in the league. Whereas Salah, because he's seen as having taken a step back, people think it's been a bad season. But he's been unbelievable. Like I don't know. I just feel like you take Mane out of that side and they get worse, but they don't get that much worse. If you take Salah out of that side, I think they take an enormous step backwards.
Yeah. There's a bit of like recency bias, isn't there, with Mane, in that he's broke a lot of personal accolades, 18 league goals. I think the most he'd scored before this season was in the region of 30.
Yeah, I think it was 30.
He's now got 10 goals in Champions League knockout games, only one of 3 African players to do so since it was reformatted as the UCL. So he's having, there's a lot of feel-good factor around Mane.
He's having his best ever season.
Yeah, I admit,
you can't factor in.
Yeah, I might have been sucked in a little bit. And Eden Hazard, down that left-hand side.
Hazard had to be in this team.
29 goal involvements when you haven't got a centre forward a mainstay as a point man in your side is absolutely incredible. So I'd be more than willing to swap out Mane for Hazard. My first go-to was Sadio Mane. I think he's benefited a little bit actually. Don't get me wrong. Big areas of his game have improved this season. I feel like his decision making has been better. His finishing has been more varied. His runs into the box have been better timed. But he has benefited from a lot of defences just focusing on Mohamed Salah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he benefited big time.
But that's not his fault.
But it does give a bit of an explanation because Salah's creativity has gone up to match that, Salah now knows that he can create more because there's going to be space opening up by defenders keying on him. Like, I mean, like it's gravity. Like in basketball, is the idea of like gravity that great players have. But fundamentally, the issue we have here is that we've got like 5 players for 4 spots. And the way you want to solve it is by leaving out Aguero. The way I want to solve it is by leaving out Mane. Interestingly, the only player that none of us have talked about leaving out is Raheem Sterling.
Yeah, got to have him.
Who's just
got
been...
to have him.
I mean, he's clearly now, is he, I mean, insofar as he's a winger, because he's playing much more centrally this season than ever before, but he might be the best winger in the world.
Only 2 players have scored and assisted 20 plus goals since the start of the last Premier League campaign. One of them Sterling, one of them Sane, who's been the best substitute by far this season in the league. Just absolutely unreal.
Unless you include Son.
Raheem Sterling, and that's a good little side battle in itself, isn't it? Raheem Sterling, yeah. Just the way, I mean, similar to like Dele Alli last season, like he could play as a second striker, couldn't he, at this point?
Hey, Raheem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the more his career goes on, the more he looks like a central attacker.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about Aguero coming off, and like Aguero's come off in some games, and then Gabby Jesus has not come on, and it's been Sterling pretty much being almost a centre forward for that side.
Equally,
and Pep kind of talks about that.
I love Sterling, and I agree, undroppable from this team this season. But if you put Hazard in that City team, I think it's a different. I think we'd be saying Hazard's the best winger in the world.
I don't think it'd be.
Maybe.
I don't think it'd be at the expense of Raheem Sterling.
No, it wouldn't. But if you were to swap those 2 players, like team for team, I think you'd be saying the same thing about Hazard.
I mean,
you'd be saying
Hazard
Hazard
on the role.
I still think Hazard's the best player in the league.
Yeah. I mean, I think we might be taking his consistency for granted as well at this point. Like,
Sure.
I think Hazard probably should. I might have to concede that he should logically go in ahead of Mane, but he's had spates this season up front, hasn't he? Where he has put up good numbers, and I think it's that interchanging of roles that has maybe led me to gravitate towards Mane. He doesn't like playing as a centre forward, does he? But he did clock up like 10.
So we're definitely putting Aguero
goal
in,
involvements
and we're
at
definitely
9.
putting Sterling in.
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement Hazard has to go in?
Yes.
So Hazard has to go in.
So
we've
then it
got
comes
one
down to
spot
Mane
left.
versus Salah.
Mane versus Salah. That is the current debate.
I just literally don't see the argument for Mane here.
I think Mane's got to go in.
Over Salah?
Why
How?
Why don't we not answer it and we'll put a poll?
That's-
and we'll do Mane versus
that's a
Salah.
very good
So we've got
solution.
1 slot left in our team.
It's
that
not
is
who's the
causing
better
massive
player, is
debate.
it? It's
No.
who's been more influential this season. But I mean, statistically,
So far our
definitely
team
Salah.
so far our team is Alisson, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Laporte, Van Dijk, Robertson,
Yes.
Bernardo Silva, Fernandinho, Hazard, Sterling, Aguero, and we have 1 slot left that we can't decide. Mane or Salah. We'll leave it up to you. You can vote by clicking the I button in the poll right now. I would go Mane.
Salah.
Oh, Mane probably.
Oh,
Oh my god.
get voted. Moving on now to quick-fire questions. The first one was sent in by Maddie, who says, where should De Ligt go this summer? Should he stay or does he take his chance now? Pato.
If someone comes in for him and he thinks he's going to be a good fit, then yeah, you're going to have to go at some point. You might as well go now.
Yeah.
I think it's actually really difficult.
So Barcelona are the most linked team, obviously. Seems like he's going there. That's his #1 destination.
Yeah, but it's just so boring.
Is it the
isn't
right fit for him?
It's so boring. They've got good defence.
What about Juventus? Bonucci, Chiellini, Barzagli, like they're all. I mean,
I just don't want Juventus to be happy at the end of this year. I just don't. I think they stand for everything that's wrong in the world.
interesting.
You know, so I'm quite happy for them to just like drop solely into the bin. I mean, Real Madrid are going to need a long-term Ramos replacement. That would be kind of fun. I don't know, if I just pick maximum fun, I know, like come to Arsenal.
Come to Arsenal, yeah.
But
come to United,
Bayern have done a load of signings in defence, so have Barca.
Yeah, I
don't know.
In my head, I see him at Bayern, but they've signed Pavard, haven't they? They've signed Luka Hernandez from Atletico
They've still
for
got
an
Zula,
absolute wedge.
Kimmich,
Yeah.
Alaba, Hummels, Boateng,
Yeah, he's not going there.
Javi Martinez.
What?
technically.
Here's an option. I'll put on the table. Atletico Madrid. Godin leaving to join Inter Milan. Luka Hernandez leaving to join Bayern Munich. In need of a centre
I think
back.
he's too good for Atletico.
0% chance of this
I think he's
happening.
too good, mate.
That's a problem.
I think that Diego Simeone will be salivating over having a defender, you know, with his capabilities, but he's gonna have his pick of the bunch, and to go to someone that's, you know, wearing.
What about Liverpool?
Simeone would make him worse as a defender.
Yeah, to go to someone where you're going to be.
I really believe that.
You're going to play that style of football. I think it's probably counterintuitive to how he's been educated.
Yeah, like think about him running out. Yeah, I mean that would be the perfect place, wouldn't it, to sit next to Van Dijk?
Oh my God, that would be filth.
The Dutch centre back. Either way, I think he's going to end up at Barcelona. So, almost definitely going to end up at Barcelona.
So where do we want him to end up? Is a more interesting question then.
Man United. Please.
Man United. Christ, yeah.
We should just pay 150 and get him.
Pay whatever they're asking.
Really? I mean, I would.
You could do a
like
proper football manager deal as well. You know, we just add player. Yeah. Try and send 10 players to Ajax as well.
Send them all out there. In fact, add manager as Barcelona boss, sell him to United, and then remove manager.
Just Pogba as Frankie de Jong. Like, Pogba replacing Frankie de Jong at Ajax next season in exchange for De Ligt.
Do you know my most desired move of the summer is Martin Odegaard to Ajax?
Oh yeah,
that'd be
that just makes sense, doesn't it? But we're not talking about like Donny van der Beek, Tagliafico. There's still like big players in the Ajax side who aren't being shopped about in the same way that De Ligt is.
Yeah, De Ligt I feel is more advanced in his.
He said he's going, isn't he?
Yeah. Van der Beek looks like a very good player. Tagliafico looks like a very good player, but he's 26. Whereas De Ligt looks like a generational talent. He's one of the best centre backs in the world. Is he 19 now?
19, yeah. And he's massive. He's huge.
He's the biggest man who's ever.
He's huge. He's only 6'2", which is a total lie. He's at least 6'9".
His shoulders are so broad.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah.
I think. Do you know what? I actually would like to see him at Barcelona. If he has to go somewhere at that level, Barcelona's a nice
It does
bit.
suit him, doesn't it?
Him and Frankie.
Didn't we discuss this before I left though, right? That would come at the expense of a long later, Piqué and Titi.
And Titi's probably going to leave, yeah.
I think Barca would want him, but I don't think they'd compete to the tune of what? 100 million euros for him because he's not like wholly necessary.
I think it's actually pretty much done. By all accounts, pretty much done to Barca.
Apparently they are going to sell, I think, some assets this summer as well. Barca.
And Titi and Coutinho are probably going to leave the club. And Titi will have a lot of suitors, despite that.
Take him at United.
That'll be the best part of 200 mil if they sell those two players.
Yeah, I think in Titi, a lot of big clubs will be wanting him.
Fair enough.
I know that he's had the knee problems, but still.
He could play with one leg and he'd be better than half your defence.
Silas Funch says potential bargain buys in the summer window. Anybody got any suggestions? I still think Rabiot will be, wherever he goes, the bargain of the summer, unmatched, on a free, probably alongside Frankie de Jong, the outstanding under-23 central midfield talent in world football, but a nightmare off the pitch, and it really worries me that no big club was able to agree a pre-contract with him in January.
Well,
it's probably already happened.
Bargain.
Like Lo Celso going to Betis for 25 million euros.
Yeah, that's an incredible move,
I mean, it's hard to see past. One of the best young midfielders in the world is now at Real Betis for 25 million euros. That's absolutely ridiculous. But I imagine Ibrahim Songare, like he might move out of Ligue 1. Other than that,
if they go down to around.
Well, I think I think they have pretty much gone down. Yeah, Thuram will be really good. And also, I mean, if Brighton, I still think Brighton will probably escape. But if Brighton get relegated, I think Basuma, I think Bernardo, maybe someone will pick up Pascal Gross. I think actually there's quite a lot of talent to be picked up there. Yeah,
I don't think there's that many really, really cheap options on the market. It doesn't really exist anymore, does it? Bargains.
I don't know. I mean, like every season we see some. You know, I think about like.
What about Ander on a free to PSG? What do you think about that move?
Nah, because they're paying through the nose for his wages.
Yeah, 220k a week.
So much for his wages.
I think this question definitely extends beyond the Premier League. France is pretty unrivaled when it comes to value for money, so I would gravitate towards Ligue 1 as well. He's the right back for Nice. Just puts up unbelievable attacking numbers that I mentioned a few weeks ago.
Youssef Attal.
Yeah, Attal. I think. I don't know what his current contract situation is like, but he could work really well in the back.
If Madrid do choose to flog Odegaard, which feels like it's going to happen, then I really think that could be a bargain, man. Just a ridiculous level talent.
He's got a pretty long contract though, hasn't he? Renewed it when he came back from it.
They don't want it.
I read an article in Marca, and they were like they're just keen to get rid at the earliest opportunity, and it's like. Like Tottenham Hotspur. He can get mine Odegaard.
He's got a huge defence.
Sell Eriksen and get Odegaard in.
He completed 11 dribbles in a game the other day.
Yeah. He's an amazing dribbler. He's a great creator and a big presser. So, like, if, for instance, it looks like Hakim Ziyech could leave Ajax for maybe 25 million euros, which would also be a bit of a bargain. But if they let him go and bring in Odegaard and about 5 mil, then that's actually been a really good move.
Tottenham should just, I think Tottenham should just miss out the middleman and go in at Odegaard and let Eriksen leave next year.
Or a team like Everton, you know, who are really reliant on somebody like Gylfi Sigurdsson who cannot press. the best thing to do would be to let him go, bring in Odegaard, who will actually do that defending from the front while putting up similar creative numbers.
Who has been, here's the next one, from John Mark Ochieng, who has been the best under-21 player in Europe this season?
Mbappe.
I mean, that's a nice segue from Odegaard, isn't it? Yeah.
Mbappe.
What, 30 league goals at the age of what?
Mbappe.
I mean, who else is impressed? Kai Havertz, when I've watched him, has been very impressive for Leverkusen.
Is he still under 21?
I really like the dynamic at Leverkusen's side. Yeah, he's really young.
I think he's still under 21.
De Ligt, still up there. De Ligt. If De Ligt wins, if De Ligt captains Ajax to a European treble.
Alexander Isaac looks like a prospect again.
Yes, he scored. I think he's broke the Eredivisie record. He scored 11 goals in a row.
Yeah. Alexander Isaac. Can't think of that many in the Premier League.
Jadon Sancho.
Really Jadon. Yeah, of course, Jadon.
Pretty good. Pretty decent.
Yeah, those are probably ours.
Phil Foden.
Amir Fitri has the last quickfire question before we move on to personal. He says, will the top 6 sides poach players from Watford, Wolves and Everton? And if they do, who will go?
Watford, Wolves and Everton.
Will any of the top 6 sides be interested in any of their players, do you think?
Okay, see, I don't think you can get players out of Everton particularly cheap.
No.
And I don't think you'd pay over the odds for any of their current personnel either, really. Like Richarlison, maybe, but at this point, you'd probably still leave him there to develop for another season before you went into the
You'd want to pay what they paid last year.
Yeah, exactly. Watford, I feel like the players are very system dependent.
Yeah.
Like they're playing like a 4-2. We've mentioned this
before,
haven't we? 4-2-2-2.
This is the best Watford's players can get.
Don't get me wrong. I like Will Hughes, Decore, Capu's had a great season. I think they'll all be like, I like playing under this manager in this quite combative, highly structured system. Who are the other team?
And the other team was Wolves, which is obviously Ruben Neves. You could argue Ruben would be the one.
I'm surprised someone didn't try and poach Johnny Otto as well before they made that deal permanent.
Yeah.
Like, because he's pretty young. Like, and I don't know. Yeah, I think the only club out of these 3 that would be willing to sell to the top 6 would be Watford, and Watford don't have any players that the top 6 will want.
No. I actually think Wolves would be willing to deal because George Mendes has his fingers in a lot of pies.
For bananas money, though.
Yeah, but if a big comes in for Ruben Neves and George is connected with the right team, imagine if Manchester United going for Ruben Neves or a City, I think George's fingers would be.
I actually think if they'd had a mediocre season, then I might support your argument a little bit more. But you know the fact they've pushed owing to the collapse of fourth place to 6th place, because they've pushed those sides up. They're pushing them so
15 points off. And
Neves knows what it's like to be in the Champions League. It's not like he's never been there and he wants to get there. He used to play regular Champions League.
Does he realistically see United and Arsenal and Chelsea having this bad a season next year and making up that 15-point gap?
Part of me just thinks because of their position, the owners, the players will think, okay, if we recruit big in the summer or what we perceive as big, let's give it one more year as a collective. And if we can make better strides, then will continue this long-term vision for the club. But yeah, I think you just have to pay far too much for Neves. You'd have to. I mean, maybe if you were Tottenham and you needed centre-back cover and you were willing to gamble on Connor Cody, you might be paying 30 or 40. I can't really think of.
I think somebody might pay big bucks for Ruben Neves. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest if somebody came in and paid 70 million for Ruben Neves.
We've said he might be Fernandinho's long-term replacement for a long time, haven't we? But
I think they're going to get the better version of him though, which is Rodri off Atletico Madrid.
I mean it has been heavily linked, hasn't it? Rodri and Saul has also been heavily linked. But it remains to be seen. Let's finish with a personal question then from James Kelly, who says, do you have any paranormal experiences?
Did we speak about this before, or just personally?
I think we just talked about this in the office.
No, I think just in the office. Have you actually had a paranormal experience?
Well, I was telling you about that ghost story from my mum's dancing school.
Oh, I hate this ghost story.
What is it?
Actually, it's really good.
Go on.
When
I have not heard this.
So basically, my mum owns a dancing school and it's in a church, or a church hall.
Okay.
And she bought it from her dance teacher. So it's been handed down over the course of about 40, 50 years. And when she was a girl there was a young boy who
your mum was younger?
Yeah, when my mum was younger, when she was a girl at her dance teacher's school, which is in the same building, there was a boy there that said he'd saw a woman rocking a child in a corner of a room. Yeah, so I mean, not a poltergeist, this is a friendly ghost, but this child had insisted that he'd seen this. Yeah, pretty creepy. That room...
That's the technical term.
Yeah, that room's always colder as well. Just a fact.
I mean, in fairness,
I only speak in
churches.
facts. Yeah,
They
but
are
that room noticeably colder. And then about, I'm going to say 30, 40 years later, the person who's taken over dancing school from my mum, her son, said like, "Mummy, who's that woman in the corner?" And this is the same room, same description of the woman.
child.
Rocking a child, yeah, seen by a different child. And, you know, this is someone I know not to be a little mentalist. He's a very pleasant little child, very well balanced, comes from a well-balanced family. No reason to say that, no reason to give the same description.
Children are stupid.
And, true. And, you know, it's just become accepted at the dance school that there may be a ghost who resides in that corner of the church.
Ooh. Passo, any paranormal stuff?
No, it's all bull. I mean, except for religious experiences, like they were also bullshit, but I did have those.
What do you mean?
Oh, you know, like kind of group euphoria feelings and stuff. Like sometimes it's like really easy if you're in like a group of like 2,000 people to feel like you know God's a thing that's happening, but in practice he isn't.
I haven't had any either. I was in my old house. In my old house, I was in the bathroom having a shower, and I'd seen a shadow go past the curtain. I thought, oh, fucking hell, ghosts in it. It was just my creepy housemate getting his toothbrush. Fucking, I don't even think ghosts exist, man. I don't know. I don't trust.
Are you a believer?
Not in ghosts, but I believe in aliens for sure.
Yeah, well,
size of the universe.
from a probabilistic point
Not
of
in
view,
ghosts,
yeah.
but in aliens. 100. Aliens are already here.
Oh,
we already have them.
now we're starting to
Jellyfish,
differ.
octopus.
Now we already
Where
have
do they come
aliens.
from?
We've got aliens, lock and key. We know all about them.
We got aliens.
We've got we've got aliens under lock and key, but
Is this
equally,
like
we can't expose them to the public.
Area
so freak
51?
people out.
Are you a big believer in that?
100%.
If I were from Exeter, I'd probably believe
We've
this as well.
got aliens in boxes.
Is this what you discuss while you're scrumping?
Oh my god.
We've got aliens left, right, and centre, and we know where they are, but we
Right and
just
centre.
we can't afford to freak the public out, so we just keep them under lock and key. They're everywhere, aliens.
Yeah.
Left, right, and
100%.
centre.
And what you know when you imagine these aliens who are left, right, and centre, how do you perceive them to look?
I don't know. I think they might be like floating orbs, just like we don't even know what.
Oh
they
right,
are.
okay. So not only are they alien, but they like defy all the laws of physics as we know them.
But we know we got them under lock and key.
Interesting. Interesting.
We know all about.
How do you
them.
keep them under lock and key if they're a floating orb?
I don't know. Probably by advanced scientific
tube,
technology.
in a chamber.
Oh, right. Okay. Good.
Lead box. Probably something like that.
Advanced scientific technology. Lead box.
That's where Indiana Jones used to keep his artifacts. Lead box. Either way, that is the end of this week's Sunday Vibes. Yes, he did in that big warehouse. Do you remember when
That's
he bought
not his warehouse. That's like the US government's
Yeah, I know.
warehouse where
Lead
they put the Ark of the
boxes,
Covenant.
yeah.
No, they're wooden crates.
No,
One of them gets
lead lined,
damaged.
lead lined, apparently.
Okay, great.
Either way, that is the end of Sunday Vibes. Thanks very much for watching. What else can the people watch today?
God.
On
Conspiracy
Football Daily?
theories
Yeah.
on Area 51. What else? What day is it? Sunday. Okay, so wow, I've been out of practice. Saturday's top 10.
Yes.
Friday, go and watch We Need to Talk.
Why not go and watch Scout Report also over on EFD
Well done.
Yeah.
today, and also go and watch FDFC and also the one-on-one on homophobia in football by Doogie Critchley.
Oh yeah, it's really.
That
really
was really, really good. Yeah, thanks very much for watching. Au revoir. Lead box is a thing, man.